swimming is such a great sport. I mean, I really love it. I wasn't a particularly fit child, I wasn't particularly good at any other sport, but swimming is something I really love, and it's really lovely to share that passion for swimming that I have and be part of this.
Well, I'm really excited that there's so many people taking part of all abilities, and I think it's great that there's lots of youngsters that can swim with their mums and dads and stuff, and a lot of people have never done this before.
This British Gas Swim Britain initiative is so important. It's a great way to get families but also friends and people involved in swimming.
They're all here to support each other, which is, you know, great morale, and hopefully will boost their confidence and self-esteem.
What we want is that in the next few years we want 500,000 people swimming regularly, and the benefits of that are huge.
It's a big challenge, but I think having events like this is really going to make a big difference to that.
Good morning and welcome to Tollcross International Swimming Centre in Glasgow for coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships. Brought to you live and exclusive by Scottish Swimming in partnership with Glasgow Life, Scottish Gas, Speedo and QTV Sports. It's the final day of these national championships, and what a championships they've been. We've had Scottish records, British records, world ranked times over the first 2 days, and last night we saw Ross Murdoch stun Olympian Michael Jimison in the 100 breaststroke. We're going to get a look at that and the best from yesterday's finals. It's very close for silver and bronze, but Wallace out in the lead. Everybody now looking at the time. 2:01:36. Yeah. It's easy. 1:59.9. The two guys following out to 2:03. Well, they had a chance early on in the half, but that second half swim seemed to destroy their chances. Wallace, super swim to 1:59.95. Hannah Miley does it again, excites the audience. Just going to be outside the 4:10, unfortunately. 4:11.69. Hattersley in a battle for the silver. She just nicks it. Thornton very close. And the best of the rest is coming from lane 6, Abby Houston of Dumfries. Ross Murdoch leading Jamieson home. Jamieson looks a bit tight, bit short. Not so long in the legs. Ross Murdoch going for the wall. This is the scalp he wanted. This is the event he was looking at. He's gone up from the 50 to the 100. He had a great 200 and he wins the 100 in 59.75. Wow. Absolutely fabulous swim from Ross Murdoch. Over there in lane 1, Emma Smith doing a great job. Lucy Hope tiring in the end. Dawson going to get the edge on the final stroke. And it's 1:02.08. Well, she's capable of going faster on that first 50. She seems to have the back speed and the conditioning. You can see how much it took out of her. McNally goes past him as if he's standing still. Craig McNally going in for the last 50, pushing himself. It's a stupid kind of swim for all coaches and spectators, but it's a 1:58.87 to McNally to take the gold. Johnson just can't come back on Miley. Hannah Miley going to take another gold in the 200 breaststroke. It's just outside the qualifying time. That's not so important for her, although she will be disappointed, but 2:30.61. Johnson in second place, 2:31.84. Faster time, but still well away from the qualifying time. She's heard, she's added the feedback in. No breathing for about 5 strokes there. Now she looks for the wall, sees where she is, make adjustment. Just short, she's going to have to kick in. Not quite a long kick, but 26.92. It is a beautiful time for Shan Harkin. No qualifying time, no Scottish record, but a very good victory, a commanding victory from Stephen Milne of Perth, coached by Ann Dixon, on the team, or on the nomination group. There's some high 20, 27, 28 times, and he strikes in 806.78. Edinburgh University's time quite safe, but the gold going to South Aberdeen. Well, Guy and S10 holding on, pressured at the finish. Page has got to get in. Silver medal, second place, and a good time from the M&B team. Paige Lang, 402.33. Yeah, a big ask, but he's got to hold on to third place because he's under challenge in lane 2 by Perth against Stephen Milne, as we see Loughborough, Stephen King finishing for them in gold medal position, 325. Loughborough second team, 331. Stephen Milne can't do it this time, and Mark Campbell holds him off for third place. Well, I'm sure you agree what a final session it was and what a great day of racing we have to look forward today. Let's take a look at what's coming up in the morning session. This is the final day programme. You have the men's 100 fly. Sharnak trying to make the qualifying time. The 100 freestyle for women. So again, the places in the 4x100 really at stake. And the same for the men in the 200 freestyle. That'll be hot because of the opportunity to make the relay. Women's 200 butterfly, tough event. Then a couple of sprints in the 50 back and the 50 breast. And then the men's 400 IM. Wallace, of course, the star, has already made qualifying time, but he's out again in the men's 400. And the 1500 metre, the longest distance for women. Not an event in the Commonwealth Games, but still a cracking swimming prospect this morning. And again in the finals for the evening session. I'm delighted, of course, to have at my side in the commentary box, former Commonwealth swimmer, Rob Lee. And Rob, you've been down there on the poolside in many sessions. What did you see from up here in the commentary position?
Well, last night we were spoilt for choice all night. We had Dan Wallace, obviously really impressive in that 200. He kind of moved away from the field and people were left fighting for the minor medals. So Dan obviously goes in the 400 IM again today, so it'll be fascinating to see how he converts that short 200 IM into the 400 IM. And obviously Hannah Miley as well last night, winning 2 events, really strong all night in the 400 free and 200 breast, just marginally missing that 410 mark in the 400 for the nomination time. So two really impressive performers last night for me. And obviously I know you didn't see that in the highlights package, but Richard Schaefer's in the 50 freestyle 22.47 was really excellent for a Scottish sprinter, and about time getting down under that 22.5 for the 53.
Thanks, Rob. Now this week's championship has as much to do with you at home as it does the swimmers, and you've given a great response. We want you to play more of a part in this event and make it the biggest and best national championships ever. You can have your say by tweeting us using the hashtag SGNC2014. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/swimming, Scottish swimming, sorry. And wherever in the world you're swimming this weekend, take a picture and Instagram it in using the same hashtag SGNC2014. We've been overwhelmed by your reaction, almost doubling the subscription for Scottish Swimming, and we hope you'll remain excited and engaged by Scottish Swimming's coverage for the remainder of the sessions and beyond. So if you'd like to keep up with all the latest Scottish Swimming video content, here's how.
Welcome to Scottish Swimming's official YouTube channel. No matter if you compete or participate in swimming, disability swimming, diving, synchro, open water, water polo or masters, if you're a teacher, tutor or coach, or simply interested in what we're up to, this is the place to find it, from wherever you are in the world. On our channel, you can watch our key events live or on demand, or simply the highlights afterwards, all for free 24/7. If you subscribe, you'll not miss any new videos, so what are you waiting for?
Well, I want to thank you very much for your subscription support. Almost doubled in the last 3 days. That's absolutely fabulous. All 12 sessions on the channel to revisit at your leisure and daily highlights from the team at QTV Sports. Your support means so much, so get tweeting, and we actually rate out the best in the last day. We're only a few minutes away from the start, and there's just time to tell you about another great event being hosted by Scottish Swimming up in Aberdeen this month, the Commonwealth Games water polo competition.
So if you're in Aberdeen, 5th to 12th of April, come along, Aberdeen Sports Village. For more information at scottishswimming.com/CWPC 2014.
Well, all the officials in place, the session ready to start. Everybody's picking up because it's the last day of competition. It's part relief, but partly anticipation at the final day, and so many opportunities to still qualify for the Commonwealth Games nomination. Here in Tollcross, the facility, of course, is a 10-lane Olympic pool. When you see the pool, lane 0 is at the top of your screen, lane 9 is at the bottom of the screen, and it's 0 to 9 to give the 10 lanes. Some of the officials who have been on duty here for the 4 days. Well, many great servants. You know, parents, I've seen parents here that I saw when I was coaching, and they've stayed in the sport, still contributing. It's so important to get committed volunteers. The swimmers for the first event, the men's 100 fly. The first heat will be multi-classification. They swim together and then it gets sorted out later on the points tables. We have 5 swimmers in this heat. It's the 100 butterfly, obviously a tough event for them. And there is one multi-class swimmer, James Clegg, who swims with the able body because he's so good. Entered on 59.99. Here we've got a 105 out to a 130. The pool there, you can see in the centre the golden anti-turb discs there, and that signifies lanes 4 and 5. Obviously counting from the top so you know where you are in the pool if you're looking at any of your swimmers. Heat 1.
So we're up and running with the...
So Lachlan Macbeth, Adam Scott, Stephen Hoggan, Oliver Carter and Adam Melville in for this multi-classification heat, 100 fly.
Yeah, lane 4, Stephen Hoggan there making a really good start, looking strong, really strong leg kick at the back of his stroke there.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? I mean, really flips at the back end.
Yeah, and you can see a real pushing motion and momentum every time he drops those legs down at the back. So really good motion, rhythm, and it's keeping him going through this 35-metre mark. Obviously lane 6 as well, going well. Adam Melville from North Lanarkshire.
So lane 4 then, Stephen Horgan, S9 category from Carnegie, the 21-year-old. Holding form nicely, breathing a bit every stroke just to get that oxygen in. Don't blame him there. He did in the first, he did a couple of double strokes, and there, a good spot on the finish. Now, remember the event is not complete. Got to support these swimmers all the way in. So super. 125.5 for Melville, comes with a 118, and it's a battle for the finish here. You can just see the turnover there from lane 3. That's Adam Scott this morning, full of energy, the 17-year-old from Highland. And he manages to come in 131.56. Now, said that the points table will convert those swim efforts so that they can be compared, and the order will be decided for the medals, but they have to wait on James Clegg in heat 4 for his swim to finish and complete that particular task. Great swimming from the multi-class. Heat 2 then. In here, it's a Bristol swimmer, 32 years of age, with a 101 in lane 4. 100 fly then, Rob. Just give us a little pattern for, you know, mapping onto.
Yeah, well, 100 fly, I think. The curious thing with fly sometimes, certainly the 100, is that these guys are going to be looking for real easy speed, nice and relaxed, fast tempo down the first 50, and that can often be to your advantage because you're relaxing, you're stretching out your stroke, you're not tensing up, you're not grabbing the water. And what these guys will probably find is they go down in the first 50, often just as fast as they do a really rushed 50. So probably won't struggle to get some speed in that first 50. The key thing is to hold that length and hold that tempo in the last 25. Keep the breathing pattern, practice the breathing pattern in training. Don't break that all the way into the wall. And as ever, Drew, just spot that finish.
Indeed, and we'll hope to see better finishes today. I don't know why, we've been telling them often enough. So here you have in a line now. It's about judgment early on. It's not waiting until you're in the red and 3 meters off the wall. Good. Nice spot for the first place. That's Lowther, 1:00.45. And the Dumfries 16-year-old in on a 101. So just a marginal improvement, but that's good. Getting ever closer to the first major bar of men's 100 fly, which is the 60-second mark. So 1, 2 and 3, Lowther, Jones, Miley, all on the minute point. Heat 3 readying. Variety of preparation positions before giving the take your mark command. Then they must be absolutely still. No movement. Any movement, you will be disqualified. But the race will continue. That'll happen at the end. So you must be absolutely still. Well, man in lane 1 is not still. Brodie Hewison. He's out very hard, very quick. Let's hope he doesn't die on this one.
Well, I'm wondering if he's gone for a 50 time there. Just started to relax off that turn.
Good spot, Rob. For some reason, wanted a 50 time, and that's why he blasted out. So coming through in lane 4, John O'Dixon of Bristol. He's on the minute. He'll be looking to get under that. Really wants to get under the minute, and here's a great chance. I mean, wonderful environment, great championships. Everybody's talking about it. But he's not going to get first place. That goes to Stephen Gibb, 59.96. And Dixon still on the minute, 0.61. 59.6 then to Gibb. Dundee City Aquatics starting to produce some good age groupers again with their new pool that opened in the city. Gibb 59.96. That's just under the minute. Then McCall from Shetland and Thompson in third place with again a very low 1:00.33. Now, just to remind you, in lane 9 will be James Clegg, Scottish record holder in S12, entered on 59.9. Bowman in 4 for Carnegie is at 54.77. No swimmer in lane 3. Dan Wallace already with the qualifying time for nomination. He's out of the 100 fly, doesn't need it, and needs to rest if he's going to do a class 400 IM. Remember, it's still Scottish Championships, it's titles at stake.
Yeah, Bowman in 5 and 4 there, a real talent, using the full 14.5, 15 metres off the dive, coming up nice, half a body length ahead, and again, slightly less distance off the wall, but still half a body length up.
Craig Bowman, Carnegie, looking strong, the black hat, nice rhythm, head quite high, the arms underneath, really not leaning into that as much as he could, but he's seeing the wall, and his stroke is taking him onto the wall, and a nice 54 point. He's in 54.7, so 54.9 in the morning of day 4. That's a lovely little swim from Craig.
Yeah, he looked good. I think he's got, as ever, heats to finals, will have a little bit more speed, a little bit more sharpness for tonight's final.
Now remember, heat 4, just looking at James Clegg, 1:03.66. That'll be a disappointment for him. And we're now at the seeded heats. Bowman, Campsey, Carpets went 1, 2 and 3. We're on the 54.55 mark and the 56 for Carpets as we head into heat 5 of the 6 for the morning butterfly. This is Ryan Bennett, University of Stirling. Looking for a qualifying time, 53.09. He's a 54.08, so it's a second drop. That's a big drop in 100 fly when you're down at 54 already.
Yeah, Ryan's seen a couple of opportunities come and go in his backstroke events to get a nomination time, so he'll be well up for this, I would expect. But yeah, 54.0 to 53.0 might be a big ask. Cameron Brodie in lane 5 there, obviously a fantastic 200, 158 in the first day of this championship, and had a decent 24 point in his 50s, so he'll be looking to convert that into the 100.
Well, we've been talking about the underwater phase, and that's the senior men doing that, and a lovely connection between underwater and swim from Ryan Bennett. Really good breakout. Now you can see just shortening a little bit, checking the wall, adjusting the stroke, and not adjusting it enough. If you see that again at some point, you'll see that he drives the last stroke very short, and he has to wait and slow into the pad. It's a relative thing, slow, but you know, you want to be hitting the pad on that reach forward. Bennett 54.94, Fall 55.95, and Brodie with a 55.98. Now we're starting to crowd as we go to the last heat, round about the 54.55. Outside swims, outside lanes in the final might be around about 56, but you want to be sure. The A final, of course, reserved for Scottish swimmers. Final heat, Mark Schranek of Carnegie in 4, still looking for a time. A 53.7 man. Schranek not been on the form that we know he is capable of, but he is coming off illness and some injuries. You can see the field are challenging him here on the first 50.
Yeah, Schranek, I think he's trying to race himself into some form in these championships. 2 really good IMs, 203 point in the heat and final yesterday, but hopefully that has blown the cobwebs away and he can get that 53 point tonight. Tight, all 4 on a line there, coming off the wall, 2 down to 5.
Booth, Rivers, Schranek and Scott. Schranek just showing at the 75 mark. Now, this important last 25, building to the finish. But as you get to 7 or 8 metres off the wall, making sure you're checking that pad, you're making the adjustment, because it's going to be very important. You can see there a wonderful spot over there in lane 2 by Josh Booth. Nice to see him move up to the 100. He had a very, very powerful 50. And just getting the touch in 55.69. A much more controlled heat, that one, Rob.
Yeah, Josh, well, you can see the benefit of a good finish there. Josh spotted it over and above what Shranek did, and that .13 made a difference.
55.69 for first Shranek, 55.82, got himself into second place. Scott took the third spot. There's the summary: Bennett, Bowman, Campsey, Booth, Shranek, Cameron Brodie in at 7. So the summary being scrolled through. There's Mark Shranek going off.
Yeah, well, all four in a line down to 50, but Josh Booth just powered in, lane 2 up the top there, right at the end, and you can see finished exactly on the end of his stroke, and that made the difference.
Lovely finish from Booth. Good control. They all controlled that second half. Shranek with the long arms. You can just see there he's crowded on that pad. He's have to bend his arms to allow the pad, you know, to be struck and to save his face hitting the wall. Booth then was in underneath him and getting that 55.69. So, first event underway in this program. A fairly swift program taking us through to the 1500 meters, but that in itself will be a good view. 1500 for women, tough event. The women's 100 free is next. Again, we have multi-class swimming in the first heat. But swimmers on day 4 proving to be capable of great racing. Tough to make the final. And here come the first heat. Beth, Amy, Regan, Hope, April and Laura. And they've had such a busy program. They do qualify on lots and lots of events. Regan Doig has picked up 3 or 4 golds. The 16-year-old from Perth, swimming very well. A 108.1 is her entry time. She's got Beth Johnson from the Borders squad in 2. Amy McFarlane, North Lanark, the 20-year-old, S14 category in 3. Regan Doig from Perth in 4. Hope Gordon, 19 years of age, from Stirling in 5. April McKee ran 96 in 5. And Laura Pilkington, S7 from West Lothian. She had some great swims yesterday, but she had to do it all her own. The crowd just didn't spot her and didn't support her. I hope they're awake this morning. 100 freestyle, getting the sprint event rolling. The back end of this, it's well, qualifying time for individual and possible team swims. So this is their final, as it were. You can see that they all swim together, so you get very different event competition placings, but the times have been placed according to the entry and seeded, so you get that lovely arrowhead formation as they move up the pool, with lane 4, of course, always the fastest. That's Regan Doig of Perth going through in 32. She's entered on an 8, so good chance of getting under 8.
Yeah, Regan was really tidy in that first 50. Notice she only took a couple of breaths in the first 25, so hopefully she won't pay for that in the last 25. A nice balanced stroke. She was bilateral breathing. That means once every 3 strokes there on the first 50. Just gone to once every 2 in that second 50, but maintaining her strong leg kick.
She's drifted across the lanes, right on the lane line. Well, that'll keep her from going anywhere else, but you really want to be in the centre of that. Nice plant, 107.5. Nice move off the entry time in there on 15s. They're very much on their entry times, Amy and Hope. And April in on 118. That's a better time. And here we are, Laura Pilkington, West Lothian, 16 Everybody has gone quiet. Come on, Laura, right on the lane line. Just constant motion there. Good technique underneath. Good entry. She's in. Remember, 2:00.64, a 1:49. Oh, wonderful, wonderful stuff from Laura. She's on fire this meet. Excellent start then. So just giving time for the multi-class swimmers to clear the pool. Normally in the morning we'll have over-the-top starts just to keep the meet flowing. 100 freestyle moving down to Caitlin, Lucy, Rachel, Camilla, Shan in the Scottish terms, and of course Kimberly, Boyce and Ramal of the club from Belgium. .100 freestyle, heat 2. We're just under the minute on the entry times. So let's see if they can put that in the basket this morning.
Yeah, well, some people think the 100 freestyle is just an extension of the 50 freestyle, you know, splash and dash. But often the key skill, certainly from a pacing perspective, is making sure you just hold off that half second to a second down that first 50. So just ease off your maximum speed so you can maintain it on the second 50. It's more about lack of deceleration than anything else.
Yeah, when you're swimming at that speed or making that effort in any exercise, it is about deceleration. Even in the 100 meter sprint event in athletics, it's the one who decelerates the least that usually comes through. Good swimming over there in lane 2. Gulsum Onal of West Lothian. She has had a good meet. She's heading them in, but again a challenge across the pool. Henderson coming through, and Henderson gets the Dutch 59.68. Now there's I just said that there were 6 entries under the minute, and it's not just so easy to convert it. Morning swims, but we've got to get this attitude of it's a morning swim or it's a heat swim. It's a race, and we need to get out there, especially in the shorter freestyles. If you want to get anywhere now, you need to swim fast, faster and fastest if you've got 3 stages. Heat number 3, Kim Janssens of Viams Club, out of 5, and in 7 Lauren Gilks, of course, is out. The field, as per the programme, with Rebecca Murray in the centre.
Yeah, Rebecca, traditionally a longer distance swimmer, the 4 and the 8, but I know she does a good 200, so hopefully she can rev her arms up and get that speed on that first 50. Looks like she's doing well.
Like the look of Caitlin Tootle in 3 from Coast City of Aberdeen. The 17-year-old looks very, very comfortable on that. I think Rebecca looks as if she's working very hard. She's getting the margin at the 75.
Yeah, Rebecca's just pulling away. I think she's got that distance endurance just shown in that last 15-20 metres here.
Great battle in the last 10. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, Caitlin's still holding her off. Oh, Rebecca's going to take it, I think.
Just on the touch. She wanted it more. 58.63. That's a nice little time. She's in on 58.7. I know it's marginal, but at the 100 you'll accept anything of an improvement. Murray 58.63. You can see how tight it was. Tootle 58.8. Then out to Tennant, the Anglo-Scot, 59.75. Heat 4, first of the seeded heats. Caitlin McClatchy out for the 100. The 28-year-old Edinburgh University representative, 55.87.
Yeah, Caitlin, beautiful stroke there. Always has had a beautiful, controlled, measured freestyle.
Yeah, she always seems to float on the water, doesn't she?
Yeah, very strong, and she's always had that strong leg kick as well. Looks like she's got a motorboard at the back there.
The rest of the field, though, tight across the pool. She comes out quite early in the lane, just at 5 metres, not using a lot underwater, Caitlin. Lucy Hope in 5 is another one pegged for this event, but just seems a little bit tired, just off her best. Going strong in 6. Shan Morgan, Edinburgh University. And Caitlin now in the last 10. You see here, head down, going for the wall. She is the Scottish record holder at 54 point. There's a 56.2. She comes with a 55.8 entry. So it's just all about age and stage, really. And Wilkie, Akalachi, 56.2. Then Morgan, 57.6. Hope, 57.79. So it's a 55.53, the qualification time for nomination to the Games. Heat 5. No swimmer in 2. You've got Eloise Barber in 3, the sprinter. Julianne Siesmans in 4 from the Belgian group. Rachel Masson from South Aberdeen. She's a hope for the 100 freestyle and the relay.
Yeah, well, Eloise had a good 50, but just missed that time on the 53 earlier on in the championship, so she'll be looking to make amends, try and get either the individual or a relay spot in this. And Rachel Masson had a great last leg in the relay last night for her team, South Aberdeenshire, so she's on form.
Good underwater from Eloise, but she was very cramped on the wall, very tight, and when your knees are overbent, you don't get the same drive or rebound. It's a softer push off the wall. Nice holding of the stroke. You can see the workmanlike. Julianne Siesmans next door. She is a sprinter. European junior, of course, as they head into the wall. Now let's just see the finish. Now there's an example of a good finish from Siesmans against Barber, who looked to have the event sewn up. Siesmans 57.3, Barber out at 57.5, Masson 57. Well, you've now got to do it all in the final. You haven't set it up. It's not a proper rehearsal. If you want to get down to that 55 point, you need to be down there in the heats. 6th and final heat. Watch for Camilla Hattersley in 2, Shan Harkin in 5. The 2 Belgians are in the middle. Hannah Miley out of the 100 freestyle, not unexpected. As they make their way to the 25, you can see the more powerfully built and older Belgian swimmers and who train together, just heading it out as they get to, 40 metres, preparing for the turn. Good strong swim in the 50.
Yeah, Harkin looking excellent here in this first 50. Obviously she's got that speed, shown it in the 50 fly and the 53 earlier on these championships, but she's looking great out the front there. Nice and long, straight arm action, strong kick.
Is there a slight catch up on that front end, Rob?
Yeah, it's slightly imbalanced. You would maybe want the... Yeah, it's maybe slightly imbalanced, but it's working for her. I think she's still applying the pressure.
Easing up slightly, I think, Harkin. She wants to be first in the heat. Doesn't seem to be going all out for that time, but she still slots in a nice 56.7. Well, with a 55.5, it's a big drop. There's the result then. Harkin with a 56.7, nice and easy. Boyce, then O'Donnell on 57.4. Then the summary of the event, you can see who's through in the first 10. Remember that the Belgians cannot be in the A final, so you'll have to go further down. A couple of these will be in the A final at the top, 58.2. And we're going to get a chance to see a replay. This is heat 4 from the 100 free.
Yeah, McClatchy in with a 56.2. Obviously, she controlled the race right from the start. Very experienced swimmer, gets her head down and finishes perfectly. So we've got Yeah, there was only one winner in this one, Drew.
Yeah, different view. An eye-level view of what it's like in the pool. This is the final heat.
So that was heat 5 there, I think.
This is heat 6.
Yeah,
yes,
Shan Harkin.
You can tell by the stroke.
So Shan Harkin finishing, I think she did just ease down there. So interestingly, 56-7, good finish, 56-7 against McClatchy's 56-2. It's set up for tonight.
And I think you're right, it's working for Harkin, and that was a very comfortable 56 with an ease off at the end. So I think she's ready to drop to 55.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, 100 freestyle. Its selection in the relay is a little bit complicated. It's about being in the top 3, or in fact top 4, and if you add the times up, and then there's a 1.5 allowance, and if that meets the qualifying time for relays, then the 4x100 will be in the games. That's how they do it. They add up the times of the swimmers, a 1.5 allowance for start and takeovers, and then you look at that time against the qualifying time that the Commonwealth Games has set, and if they make that time, then they're in. As we move now to the men's 200 freestyle, again the relay spot is up for grabs here in the 200. So as we move to, you know, the end of the 200 freestyle, the 6 heats, then the guys who are maybe not going for gold, silver or bronze, they certainly want to try for a spot on the relay. And if the times are very, very good, then there might be a reserve that's taken, so 5 spots possibly available. Here again we have the men's 200 freestyle, multi-class event. Andrew Mullen doesn't seem to have appeared this morning. In lane 2 is Craig McLean. Three, Adam Melville, North Lanarkshire. Craig Rodgie in 4. And Scott Quinn in 5 are going for a qualifying time. This is an event in the Games programme for them. And then 4 and 5, they're going for 2:07.52. Connor Morrison, who's had a couple of victories here over the first 3 days, from Geary in 6. James Hamilton in 7. Lachlan Macbeth is out there in lane 8. That'll be a lonely swim for Lachlan. Entered on 2:57. And already you can see that Craig Rodgie is going for it.
Yeah, he really went for it that first 50. The 200 free is key to control that first 100, as ever in any 200. He came off the blocks, and you just noticed a slight drop in tempo from 25 through to 50. So hopefully he's not burned all his energy in that first 20 seconds.
Very quick off the wall, and he's cranking in this first 25 of the third 50. And normally this is the difficult spot in the race, the third quarter, the third 50. You really have to be concentrating. Go too quickly, you'll die at the end. Go too slowly and you'll not make your target time.
Yeah, it's a really tricky event to master the 200 free. There's guys that spend their whole life trying to do that, but Craig's doing well still. He's holding it together. Scott in lane 5 as well had a really good 100 breaststroke last night, so he's obviously in form.
1:32 at the split then. The countdown. 2:07.52 the game's time. He's entered on 2:03.53. So difficult for him, but he's got a real shot at it. Digging in. Remember, 2:07.52. He's going to crash through that. 2:04.06. Good man. The second swimmer, Scott Quinn, entered on 2:12. Still looking at 2:07, but gets a 2:11.61. Then 3 in a line across the pool. You've got Adam Melville getting in here in 2:21 off at 2:16. You've got Connor at 2:16. He's out a little bit. Now, the first first 6 are home, and now Lachlan digging in 2:57. He's had a busy meet, and of course there was that upset in the 400 IM yesterday. 200 IM rather. They thought it was a 400 IM, and really digging in. 2:52 from a 2:57. You see, it's not over until the fat lady sinks. Good swimming from the multi-class, and the qualification time for Craig. Congratulations. So Rodgie with a 2:04, Quinn second place 2:11, Melville 2:21, but all those times have to be applied to the conversion tables to points, and that sorts it all out, because they can then compare across the different classes. In there you had S5, S14s, so you can't just compare the performance. You need to go to the equivalent tables. Heat number 2. 6 heats, 4, 5 and 6, the seeded heats. In here, Jack McComish, 18-year-old from City of Glasgow. He's been swimming well in the relays and had a good 100. Here he is with a 1:58.1 200. And they're all around the 58, 59. So just remind us how we might want to swim this, Rob.
Yeah, well, like I said in that previous heat there, Craig was going out maybe a little bit too fast in that first 50. You have to control that first 100. It's about that easy speed. Don't push the legs too hard. Don't turn the arms over too hard. Nice, easy speed.
When you say control the first 100, what's the reference point?
I think it's probably stroke rate and leg kicks. So these guys will be training day in, day out. They'll know the pressure they need to apply to the water to get that easy speed. So it's about not turning your arms over too fast, not pushing too hard, applying too much pressure in that water too early on. And then bring in the legs in that second 100, bring in the pressure in that second 100.
And does it have a reference to their flat out 100 time, or is it they're split in the last 200 they swam?
Yeah, I would say if you were a minute 100 freestyler, I would say you would probably be looking to go out in 1:02, 1:03 to get the maximum split time for a 200 free, and then bringing it back in a similar type of fashion, maybe a little bit slower. But you want to be 2 or 3 seconds off your 100 time, I would expect.
Okay, thanks for that. JJ Galligan, Tigers from Jersey, over there in lane 1, going well, 1:27 on the split. Now you measure that against the 1:32 that we saw, but of course not the same conditioning and fitness or stroke technique. So across the pool, it's Galligan against McComish against Cameron Park in lane 8. Going into the wall, you can see how important the finish is now, and McComish takes it 1:58.23, almost exactly on his entry time, and that leads the meet at the moment, a 1:58. The next heat down at 1:56 and 1:57. And that's Stuart McIntosh from the City of Aberdeen. A couple of other 56s in here. Robert Bryce, Chris Lowther, and our old friend Oliver Bitout from Loughborough. They're all in 1:56 in the centre of the pool as the event starts to move down in terms of time and up in terms of quality.
Heat 3, Paul Atkinson, Dundee University in 0, Dale Welstead, 1, Felix Gifford, City of Aberdeen 2.
Well, we saw Oliver and Chris Lowther battle it out in the 800 last night, so they're neck and neck and next to each other again. Got Stuart McIntosh in 4, taking it out, as is lane 2. Felix Gifford from Coast. Felix looks to have the early speed here. He did a good 100 earlier on in the meet, so I would expect that.
So nothing in it for second place. The Wave just controlling this first 100. as we would like them to do. McComish looking smooth and easy. How hard was that for Felix Gifford? We'll know in the second half. 55-7 on the split. Now if he goes a 156, it's a really good back half.
You see Stuart McIntosh, conscious effort off that second turn there to make a run at Felix, and he's done that in this third 50, bringing him up head to head.
Seen so many swims be won and lost in that third 50. Watch McComish just come off the wall, but don't think Gifford's finished. Marginally in front as he goes out in the last 50. Breathing to the left. McComish won't see this with 25 to go.
Yeah, well, Stuart McIntosh did push that third 50 really hard, and it looks like he's just tying up as a result. Felix holding on out in lane 2 there. Thanks, Felix Gifford's going to take this one for Coast.
Oh, quite ragged at the end, and just decided he was at the finish. A 155.4. He comes with a 157, so that's a really good swim for him. And it does move the event onwards. 155.4 now. The guys checking the board. Gifford 155.4. McIntosh in second at 56.3, and Bitout 156. So apart from Gifford, the favourites doing the job this morning. 3 great days of swimming, and now got to get up again on the last day. It's all about mental toughness. Being asked to race very hard. No swimmer in lane 3. Rob Bale is out, and no swimmer in 6. Josh Booth saving himself probably for the fly. Not swimming the 200 freestyle. And an early, there's a stroke that we're seeing more and more coming back at the top level. Watch, sorry, it's Rob Bale that's in, just missed the lanes. And I'm miscounting this morning. Jordan Hughes is out. Bale, of course, looking super smooth.
Yeah, keep an eye on Dan Wallace up in 0. Obviously, he's in an outside lane, but we all know he's a quality swimmer. Having won a couple already this championship, so there'll be another little typo in the entry time.
Yeah, 155.3. It's obviously a dated, or maybe even if they accepted a yards conversion. Not many short course meters opportunities when he's in the States. Now Rob Bale heading the rest as Wallace from lane 0 sets the pace.
Yeah, Wallace, you would expect to hang on to this with his background. Some real quality in this field. We've got 6 guys under 150 entered. So we're expecting some fast swimming even in these morning heats.
Well, I'd like to see them go a bit faster if they're going to have a challenge at that relay. Wallace through in 122. Remember, the first of the seeded heats has a difficulty, an added challenge of how fast do I swim? How fast do I need to swim to make sure of a final place? It ends up with a 151 to Dan Wallace off 122 at the 3/4 mark. You can see very tight in the remaining swims. Wallace, well, you learn how to race and to be ready to race hard every time if you're in the States. Representing Florida, of course, you're up every 2 weeks for a major swim. 151.2 confirmed. Rob Bale came into 152.8, the best of the rest. And Donaldson with 152.97 equalled Glenn Surgelus of Viamps in Belgium on that 152.97. So that's now set the standard and set the goal for the A final. Angus Barr, Jordan Sloan, Curtis Coulter, Jack Scott and Peter Timmers 0 to 4. Stephen Milne, Cameron Brodie, Solomon Butt, Alistair Stirling and David Thompson in the bottom half of the lanes.
Well, I always thought of Stephen Milne as quite a big guy, but next to Peter Timmers, he was small in comparison, but he's having a go here, Stephen. Not used to seeing him out the front of the pack early on, traditionally a distance swimmer, but he's having a real go.
Yeah, well, he's swam really well in the 200 and the relay, but he's had a hard meet and having to cope with different results, as we see a very powerful looking first 100 from Jack Scott of Stirling, going through in 53.5.
Yeah, Jack has got a best time of 1:48. He has got that form a couple of years ago. He's had mixed results recently, but he has got that pedigree. So
yeah, he's very much like Chernak, isn't he?
Yeah, he's had
last year.
He's had a troubled last year or so, just trying to find his form. But he had a decent 100 metres, Jack. So let's hope he can just push on this last 50. He's looking really strong.
128.18 is just under the 122 of Wallace. Wallace eased off a little bit in the last 50 and driving for the wall. Second place in lane 5. It is Stephen Milne. Wants to get himself in the final. Check those times then. 150.73. Nice pitch swim off a 151 from Wallace in the previous heat. Just making sure, getting victory, improving the time. 150. And this is a really opportunity as well as the individual. And the men going in 148.48 for the 200. That's a really tough time on the 200 as we come to the 6th and final heat. Mark Schranek is out of the 200 freestyle. Dieter de Koninck has withdrawn. The Belgians, of course, off a very tough training camp, and they're here just to race hard. But you know, when you get to day 4, if everything's not right, then you risk injury. So de Koninck from Viams out, and we see Robbie Rennick back in the pool for what everybody expected was his signature event, the 200.
Yeah, that familiar long stroke from Robbie, holding his right arm out there, longer than his left, but he's supported so well by that leg kick. Trained a few times with Robbie, and the leg kick sets that he does are quite extraordinary, just really, really strong, and that's crucial these days in a 200 free.
Indeed. Okay, easy through, 54.65. Now, it isn't as fast as the previous heat, but I think in the previous heat we saw a chase for the time. And it's about, you know, going from your best out and just controlling the swim. Obviously, it's going to win the heat. Just watch this. It's a 122.8, just starting to come now down to the same time as Wallace, not as fast as Jack Scott, but the finish, it's about holding the form, and that is easy, or easier at this level of swimmer. Robbie just stroking it in. He knows he's going to be in a cracking final and an exciting challenge, rolling in 150.63, middle of the pool for the A final. That's where he wants to be, and saying, come and get me. So the results confirmed. Mark Schranek deciding not to swim this, probably a wise decision. Rennick 150, Parks 152.7, and Cameron Smith at 154.2, the best of the rest. And Robbie Rennick, Scott, Wallace, Milne, Parks, Bale, Donaldson, Brody, they're all in there, and even Craig Hamilton in there. They'll go down to maybe 12 or 13 to fill the A final because of being reserved for Scots. The faster Belgians don't go through. So we're going to get a chance to look at...
so this is Jack Scott, Heat 5, obviously led from the front. We've got Stephen Milne just a couple of lanes below, but Jack did well. A little bit tight in the finish, maybe could have stretched his second from last stroke there. But good heat performance from Jack there. And Stephen Milne obviously comfortably into tonight's final as well.
You can see the top 4 or 5 there. Robbie Rennick very good.
So clustering in the middle of the pool around Robbie Rennick.
Yeah, and Robbie I was really impressed with Robbie's heat swim there. You would normally expect him to be turning his hands over a bit quicker, so he's obviously made a conscious effort to just go easy in this morning's heats. Decent finish, turned his body to the side there, stretched out that last stroke. A really good final tonight. Everyone bunched around the 150s, 151s. Obviously the nomination time 1:48.4, which is very fast. But like Drew said, there's some opportunities for relays as well.
The Robbie Rennick, of course, he's got to play around with a 1:45.9 Scottish record. The challenge of a 1:48 at this stage in the season and how he's been. And the other guys coming down to that kind of sub 150. It's an interesting meeting, and it'll be in the final this evening. This is the women's 200 butterfly. We have 5 heats. One of the tougher challenges in the swim program for the women. We're starting off with 2 minutes 34 in the center of the pool on entry time. Oh, last minute adjustment there. Another one. And then here.
The first heat. Richardson at best in 2. Fiona Bolton of Hatfield in 3. Sally Hare of Brock in 4. Robert Patrick at South Lanarkshire in 5. Peter McKenzie at Ireland in 6.
So Hutchison and Jones in 0 and 1, not appearing this morning. And it's the 200 fly for women. We've given you an opportunity to hear how you might approach the event. But, you know, you're at 12, 13 years of age. It's quite different from the senior swimmers. So how would you coach and guide the youngster into the 200 fly?
Yeah, well, 200 butterfly, young swimmers obviously is met with trepidation. It's known as a bit of a killer event, but what you can really help yourself with is getting a good butterfly technique. So getting a good rhythm, relying on the back end of your stroke, your double kick to actually propel you forward. A lot of age group swimmers will just rely on that strong pull, and that will ultimately be their undoing at the end of a 200 fly, because it's such a tough and long event. So get a nice rhythm early on, conserve your energy, just try and float through the water and then build that second 100. Easier said than done, I agree, but it's, regardless of how you swim this is going to be tough for these girls. But if they've conserved their energy and just held that good rhythm on that first 100, they should be able to finish strong.
Well, we have Kiara Cassidy out here in lane 8, closest to us. She's trying very hard, keep the legs together, get the arms forward. Just struggling a little bit, obviously, at the end of the third 50. Very neat 100 to take a 1:12 lead, but it was marginal. And she's still in the lead marginally, and she'll be fresh up now as she heads for home. Cross there in lane 3, Fiona Thornton from Hatfield, Anglo-Scot, up with her coach, Ian Wright. She's only 15. 2:34.6. Now, if you've got anything left, but you can see that the heads are rising a little high to get the air into the body, and the stroke then gets disturbed. You can see all the hips are low because of what Rob said, that the legs are maybe not as conditioned as they might. A real dash for the wall there by Fiona, 2:35.01. So the 2:34 is gone. So just minor disappointment on the heat swim in the women's 200 for the Summers there. Amy Richardson from best. Fiona Thornton, though, at the top. Mackenzie, 2:36 for second place. Cassidy, 2:36.05 for third place. But it was a 2:35.01 that took the heat and actually heads the event up for just a short period of time, I'm sure. We moved to 2:31 and 2:30 on the entry. Couple of Summers are out. Emily Bryce and Inez Holiday of Elgin. And again, we're at the 13, 14, 15 age group. And it's actually good to see so many able to do a 200 fly. I mean, I'm noticing that.
Yeah, well, I think the national programme, the various youth programmes are geared towards getting everyone to swim everything these days, which is excellent and gives all the Summers a good grounding. So you'd normally have a bit more participation in these tougher events, which is excellent. Interesting contrast in the middle two lanes there. See, you've got Ailsa, much flatter stroke, maybe less legs, where we've got, we have in lane 5, Bethany. A little bit stronger leg kick, a little bit higher up in the water each stroke, but actually using those legs at the back.
Lane 7, Ailey Duthie, who's had a good meet here. She's swum in the mornings and the afternoon. Although it's the same event programme, you might have qualified at a different level in different events. So she's had a very, very busy programme, but she's been tough. 16-year-old Ailey from City of Aberdeen. You can see here just the ability to, you can see how wide the arms are. I mean, if you hit the water in that U shape, then you know you're offering a lot of body and inner arm to the forward momentum, the resistance by the water. You can see there it's a tired looking turn, but we're back in the 50 and we're back in the rhythm.
Emily Bryce up the top as well, having a good, sorry, it's Megan Swanson up the top. Mary Swanson up the top, having a really good bash. A good third 50 there, into second. Ailey looks like she's going to hold on all the way in there though, running at a pull.
Yeah, last 25 though, you can see she's putting the head down and breathing every two just to make sure that she can keep the arms going. Every time she lifts that head it becomes more difficult, the stroke's interrupted, but she can't hold that double stroke breathing all the way through the two, but she goes to 2:30.8. So a nice tidy little swim from Duthie, coming in with a 2:32.8 on the entry as we see the event closed by Katie Taylor. And there, the red face, the lane rope, the heavy breathing just tells you the effort it takes to go 2:30.8 for first place in our heat. Miller 2:33 and Swanson 2:33.92. Heat 3 now, the business end, first of the seeded heats. In lane 4, Tane Bruce, the 15-year-old from Carnegie. Scottish junior champion earlier in the meet. Here she is, entered on a 2:15.6. In lane 5, Megan Donnelly Mulgyan Bearsden on a 2:18. No swimmer in 3. That's Kieran Kelly is out. And already Tane Bruce just showing a nice little butterfly stroke here on the first 50.
Yeah, and it's exactly as we spoke at the start of the event. It's not necessarily the size of the girl. Obviously, there's not much to Tane there, but she's got a really strong back leg kick that's actually propelling her forward each time. Well-timed pull to coincide with that kick. And it all just works together, so for a nice rhythm. So she's got that easy speed in that first 100.
The arms, as they go forward, you can see her hands just preparing for the entry. Just a little angle on the wrist to prepare for entry, and catch just under the water, then applying a double arm pull out in 30, 65.2 at the halfway mark. Now you can see that the head is starting to lose its position, just moving about as she adjusts to the fatigue hitting her in this third 50. Just trying to maintain that rhythm. Again, legs nice and close. It's a fairly even kick at the back, double kick. And just to cover that dead spot as the hands have to come from the hips forward to the front of the body. There's that dead spot, and it's the legs that fill that gap.
Yeah, telling point sometimes in the tiredness of the fly is the arms just start to enter a little bit further out. They're not actually quite stretching out as far, closer to the head, less of a pull. The body just drops in the water as a result. You see slightly fatigued, but she's keeping it going well.
Across the pool, it's a battle for second place in the heat. Across the pool, Vary and Megan, Emily, Ashley, Hannah's in here as well. As Tane Bruce comes home in 2:19. Maybe disappointed with the time, but it's a very nice looking swim. The others on 26s, so that heat a little bit destroyed by the swim, not quite making the entry times that have come forward. But Tane Bruce, Carnegie, sure a talent for the future in the way that she interprets that 200. 2:19.04 she went. McAdam 2:26.4. Bashforth 2:26.63. She's having a good meet as well. These young swimmers swimming morning and afternoon for the 4 days. Heat number 4. .219 leading the way as we go through the meet. You sometimes find that illness, injury or fatigue just hit the swimmers, and by day 4 you do have a few gaps. Can't alter the program in such a short time with these withdrawals. And going now, we've got Fiona Donnelly. Now she's pegged as a possible contender. We're talking 2:11.81, which is a swift time for the Scottish swimmers. Fiona has a 2:14 entry time.
Yeah, just comparing Fiona's stroke to Tane in the previous heat, obviously much longer stroke, slightly older girl, a little bit more strength in those arms, and actually being able to take less strokes per length, which will ultimately help her in the back half.
Having to wait for the wall to come to her. Now, just another little comparison. If you can remember Tane Bruce with that very even 2-beat kick, and here you can see one strong kick from Fiona, and then there's a subtle, smaller kick at the other stage in the butterfly action.
Well, good discipline in the breathing as well, breathing every 2 so far, all the way through.
Well, a butterfly traditionally doesn't give a lot of close racing in the heats, especially when they're seeded. Donnelly then, 1:42, going through in the same kind of time as Tane Bruce. Tane has the advantage of being a slighter build, so she's not got that weight. It's the power to weight ratio of the younger swimmer. Donnelly at 19 from Warrender, 2:14.98. You can see how rough that stroke has become. She's trying hard to keep the pattern, but it's just fatigue and conditioning that play their part in the last 10, and really getting caught by Gemma Kane at the end, 2:19.7. But of course Kane is from Ulster, so not a contender for the A final, but that was a very good last 50, and lovely spotting of the finish as you saw the tired swimmer struggling to make it into the pad. Interesting event then. heat number 4.
Those results confirmed.
Kane 2:19.7 from Ulster, Donnelly, Wonderbaths 2:19.74, and Laura Dawson 2:25.32. The 1, 2 and 3 in that penultimate heat. We come to heat 5. Hannah Miley in 4. Emily Jones withdrawn from the 200 butterfly.
Yeah, another chance to see Hannah Miley here. She spoke before or all weekend about entering multiple events to ultimately work on her 400 IM and all the various legs and skills that are entailed within that. So here's another outing, the 200 fly. Entered in with a 2:11.01. Nomination time 2:11.8. So there's a chance at that. We know she's on good form after her 4:11 last night in the 400 free.
Entered on 2:11. She is the Scottish record holder at 2:08. But it's not her focused event, but she's so talented and so fit that if there's nothing else surrounding her, she can actually go for these swims sometimes. Some of the younger swimmers should be watching this. 1:05 on the way through, and very comfortable now. The difference will be that the stroke will stay roughly the same on this 3rd and 4th 50s. Going well in lane 2, it's Kirsty Armstrong from Best, just being challenged a little bit over here in lane 7. That's Tara Hayworth of Lincoln, the Anglo-Scot.
Yeah,
141. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wonder if Hannah's just taking it easy, or maybe just got a little bit tired from last night's excesses. She's looking a little bit tired there. But 141, she'll probably come in 2:15. Decent morning performance.
Yeah, there's more up and down, there's less stroke length, but 2:17 quite easily for Hannah, and that leads the meet, of course, as you would expect. Closing in, and the outside lanes, lane 0, Ella Shilliday of Stirling and Gemma Brown of First, just closing that event. As Hannah looks at the time, compares it to the swim, checks her comparison, she'll already have a feel inside her head and body as to what kind of swim that was. 2:17.5 for first place, Armstrong on 2:22 and Rebecca Smith on 2:24.04 for the 1, 2, 3 of that 5th heat. The summary, 2:17.54, 2:19.04. They roll through that summary. Apologies for that little drop in transmission. And here's a replay.
Yeah, Hannah tying up a little bit, just not quite getting the length of the stroke at the end. And unusually for her, a bit of a stretch at the end.
It's crashed, Jack. It's crashed.
Hannah Miley, fastest qualifier in that. So she'll be looking for gold medal on the second current down. She will be looking to swim the 200 fly in the games.
We have no picture.
No, with Hannah.
No, she likes a heavy programme of events. Doesn't get much heavier than the distance freestyles, the distance individual methods, and the 200 butterfly. We can now move to the next event, which is men's 50 metres backstroke. Please welcome the swimmers for heat 1.
Quick apology for the break in transmission. This is the men's 50-metre backstroke. In this first heat in lane 0, Andrew Mullen, the 17-year-old from round 96, is in the multi-class category, S5. So the meet won't be finished, the event won't be finished until about 40 seconds. No swimmer in lane 6, lane 5 rather. Spencer O'Grady of Geary is out. Now, apart from the difficulty of that complicated start and underwater with the 15 metres available, it's about turning over quickly, but only quickly enough that you hold the water. Then when you get under the flags, that tells you where you are at 5 metres. You should have your stroke ready. You should know at this speed how many strokes it takes you to the wall. We have a first time of 29.28, but over there, Andrew Mullen entered on 39.54 and goes 39.46. A marginal PB to Andrew, but a nice start to the event. Nice positive 29.28 from Corrigan, Coots with 29.41, and Lambert 29.80.
Faster than the time he swam in the Paralympics in London in 2012 at 39.21.
So heat 2, we'll see Alistair Campbell of Dumfries, 28.57.
The result is confirmed on the scoreboard. Can now move.
We've got 5 heats of the 50 back. In heat 2, of course, we've got 16, 17-year-olds and 25-year-old James Flanagan from Bristol in lane 0. So let's see how they cope with the start.
Well, we'd expect most of the field to use the full 15. It's only a 50, so that skill is essential to get up in front. So lane 4, Campbell has used that skill, and you can see he's turning his arms over, catching the water very well there. Good half body length up at the moment.
Some power swimming going over in 0 and 1 between James and Daniel. But it's Alistair Campbell, quick off the start, 28.3. He's in on 28.5. So 28.3 first place, clear victory. Campbell 28.3, Stead 28.9, and a 29.55 from Jamie Waller. The Waller family very busy. Heat number 3, first of the seeded heat, so watch for Rory Lamont, the 22-year-old West Dumbarton star. 26.25, getting down towards the qualifying standard of 25.97.
Yeah, Rory from the same stable as Ross Murdoch over in West Dumbartonshire, although Ross is now with Stirling. Very powerful athlete, Rory. You can see that full 15 metres. Perhaps doesn't turn over as fast as other people, but getting a really strong pull underwater.
He does indeed. Ryan Archibald's flying with the arms, but Rory Lamont holding him off. The challenge is coming from Archibald in the last 5. It's all about stroke and momentum. Who's got? They both had the same speed, but you can see that much better finish by McGovern there. Took the touch, 26.2. So great battle there between McGovern and Lamont. My miscall. Apologies, 26.26 to McGovern. Lamont 26.31, 5 100ths in it. Archibald was 27.22. So that 26.26 is now leading the event, getting ever closer to a challenge at 25.97. The 50 men, of course, will get very close to the qualifying time. In here, Craig McNally of Warner 21-year-old in 4. Everyone will remember the last 50 in the 200 where he was a whirlwind of a 50. We'll see it again here in the 50.
Yeah, and McGuckin, fantastic start up in 3. Obviously got 3rd place in the 53 last night, so we know he has his speed, and he has got a background in backstroke as well, so he's pushing McNally hard.
He isn't half. McNally, head high at the end, very, very strong. Remember, a better 200 swimmer. Can't tell the victor until they touch 26.66. So slower than the previous. And McGuckin 26.75. That's how close it can be, and it can get closer, and it will be closer in the final. Lyons with the 3rd place on 26.81. So it's a 26 point, and the lower you can, the better. As Jordan Sloan of Ulster can't go into the A final, but as a 26.1. What we've got here for Scotland is Jack Ness in 5, the 17-year-old City of Aberdeen swimmer. And Daniel Stepton of Loughborough on the other side again doesn't count for the final. So it's really about what Ness can do in this final heat.
Yeah, Ness with that classical backstroke physique, long, tall and slim. 17-year-old, 26.2, he's obviously a real talent. Looks to be edging slightly ahead after 25.
Daniel Stepton in the bright pink hat there, a danger, but you can now see how important the finish is as 5 swimmers in a line, and then coming through in the last 5 strokes. Wonderful sprint for the finish in the last 5, 26.53. Just seemed to find another gear, Jack Ness. 26.5. And that's a decent enough time off the heats to make the final. Job done. Stepton led the way early, 26.89 finish for 2nd place, and Sloan 26.96. So the summary: McGovern, Lamont, Ness, McNally, McGuckin, Lyons, Stepton are all in there. Then they move through to the 27s and start to look at the B final times. Solomon Boot down there, former junior record holder. And to show you how important the finish is.
Yeah, really impressed with Jack Ness, especially the finish here. He just seemed to go away from people right at the end and then stretch perfectly. You do want your last stroke to be slightly longer than the rest because you can use your whole body to stretch back there, so he did that really well.
Yeah, it's a great point, Rob, that you can back arch, but you don't want to do it too far, otherwise you set up resistance. But you can lean back and maximise the extension of the arm on that last stroke. And it was judged, for me, the best finish we've seen, certainly on the backstroke. We stay with the 50s. It's women's 50 metres breaststroke. And the women's 50 breaststroke, again the difficulty of revving and spinning through the stroke cycle too quickly on the 50. And we're going to go from about a 36 for the 50 right down to maybe a 32 point, and only 4 seconds. But remember, those 4 seconds, you've got, you know, 40 hundreds, so you've got a lot to play with. Separate all the swimmers. What would we do without these electronic timings? They're just so much part of the sport now. So any special guidance?
I think you alluded to it there, and it's all about finishing each component in the stroke and not rushing it. You can do it faster, but you can't rush and make certain parts of your stroke incomplete, so you can't snatch at the water out the front too early. You have to have a strong leg kick and use that glide phase.
Yes, and for the breaststrokers, it's the same problem as the butterflyers. As a front-facing stroke with your head up, you can see the pad. It's when you make the decision about the finish and how you adjust to make a perfect kick, stretch, and be at your maximum extension to hit that pad. So we'll be watching for that again. Well, all Summers in attendance for the first heat. It's Eve Thompson of West Dumbarton, 36 flat, that you have to look at in 4 as the fastest time in the heat.
Yeah, and these girls need to carry the speed off the dive. Really strong breaststroke pull can give you a good advantage out here. So lane 4, we've got Eve Thompson. Good start, good strong pull, and she's just keeping the lead there.
Nice swim there in lane 6 in this first heat from Iona Hamilton of Warnder. She's going to challenge the centre of the pool, but here's where the adjustment has to be made. And who's on the stroke? The touch definitely going to Robertson up there in lane 1. Well, a very tight blanket finish, and Robertson just with the spot on the wall. Confirmed 36.28. Hamilton looked to have it, 36.29, 1/100th in it, that's what you need, 36.44. Everybody will remember the 1988 Olympic Games in Adrian Moorhouse against Volkov of Russia. That last finish by Adrian was just so perfect, and he won the gold medal by 1/100th of a second. That's how important it is. Kirsty Armstrong of Best, the 14-year-old on 35 point.
Yeah, and just slightly came up a little bit too quickly there, Kirsty. Could have made a little bit more of that glide in the pull-out phase. Good, purposeful stroke out the front there. Clearly got a really strong leg kick, and she's using that to her full advantage here. Finishing every stroke, kicking every stroke. She's looking really strong.
Looking strong, but getting a challenge in lane 5. Kate McIntyre, South Lanarkshire, finishing with great momentum. Now again, who's going to go for the wall? They both went early and glided in the final analysis, but you know, great finishes. 35.35 against 35.36. A 1/100th victory again, and all to do with the finish.
Yeah, such small margins in this 50 breaststroke.
The results confirmed.
The difficulty for the young age groupers, the 13 and 14-year-olds, is they don't have the patience to take the glide off the powerful dive. They're just so keen to get into the stroke. They don't realise that they are actually breaking the speed off the dive. So with 5 heats, first of the seeded heats, Kerry Buchan out of this 50.
Well, Hannah Miley.
Yeah.
Hannah Miley in a 50 breaststroke. I don't know if that's something new, but she's obviously wanting to work on her speed as well. Well, Cara Hanlon holding her off very well from Highland there.
Yeah, Cara, one of those picked out for this event. It's a 32.21 qualifying time. It's well within her compass, you know. And a beautiful finish, 32.34. Now that's setting it up. That's a great swim in terms of pitching it properly, rehearsing what you're going to do in tonight's final. And of course, when you can beat Hannah Miley on anything, you feel great. Even on a 50 breaststroke. So Cara, 32.34, Hannah at 32.88, and Tootle 33.79 on the third spot. 2 heats to go. Raquel Matos, Orla Adams, Ashley Highland, Hayley Monteith, Catherine Johnson and Andrea Strachan. Potential for this as well. Then Julian Seismans from Belgium, Gemma Kane, Annie Brown, Stephanie Brew. Matos out in 0. And there's the pause and allowing that glide to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well done there by Catherine. You got out to 13 metres on a breaststroke start, which is where you would expect a world-class breaststroker to get. Catherine Johnson. This is arguably her favourite event, where she came to prominence a few years ago. 31.6 entry, so we're looking for that nomination time of 32.2.
Now, driving Andrea Strachan at the finish, and who's on stroke? Well, neither of them was perfect, but Johnson got the touch, 31.99. It is a qualification time, but it actually doesn't count. It's got to be done in the final. You've got to be in the top 3 swimmers in the A final. That's when the time will count. But the rehearsal of it here is just what the swimmer wants to take into tonight's final. No swimmer in the final heat in lane 4, Kim Janssens from Viamse. Viamse based in Antwerp. And a wonderful piece of information from the coach, Ron Gastra. I had a coffee with him this morning. His budget, €350,000. 200,000 of which is from the city of Antwerp. Interesting.
Well, if only.
If only, yes. Final heat then, 31.99 leading the event. None of them expected to get to there, but they would like to see a couple of low 32s and make that final really special.
Yeah, Corey Scott looking good. Obviously 68 in the 100 breaststroke. She's got the speed, but Isle of Man up there. We've got Laura Kinley from the Isle of Man. We'll have her own qualifying time to chase, of course. Looking really strong.
Corey Scott, I think that's a lovely tempo in the 50 breaststroke. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. Strikes the wall, 31.55.
Wow.
Well, Catherine Johnson shaking in her trainers. What a beautiful little swim that was. Remember that up at the top, it's always hard to get to the 30 mark. There's a whole number of swimmers on 30, but to get down there, 31.55, nice swim. Scott 31.55, Armitage 32.4. She's at the top of the heap. Strachan 32.2 for third place in the summary. So building to a nice, strong final where they should quite easily do the qualifying time, but there's always that extra tension in the evening session. But they're seasoned campaigners, and that will give them a wonderful boost. And we're just going to have a look at those 50s again. You know, the final 3 heats, Rob.
Yeah, so that's this heat 4. So really strong finish there by Cara Hanlon, holding off Hannah Miley. And actually, that was a pretty good finish. A little bit short. So you see Cara here again. Led from the front in that heat. Really good first 25 speed, and just that's the key thing for breaststroke, just keeping that speed going in the second 25. And here Catherine adjusted her stroke actually just a little bit too much. So you see the last 3 were really quite short, and then again, so yeah, I mean she could have lengthened the last 2 instead of shortened the last 3 there. See, it's actually, for a 50, quite a spread out field there. Catherine forging ahead. And the last, well, Corey Scott, like you said, Drew, just such a tidy swim. And very good finish from Corey. Very good.
Well, Corey Scott there, just a last view of the way to approach the finish. There. Maximum extension of a wonderful strong leg kick at the end, and a 31.5 in the bag. Lovely. We move on to the men's 400-meter individual medley. A bit longer exhibition of the 4 disciplines: butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle. We have 5 heats this morning. Dan Wallace still listed, the Warner Summer specialist on IM. Top time 4:13.7 in the entry programme. Lewis Smith and Ross Muir have also been identified as possible contenders for a very, I think a slightly easier time, 4:20.1 on the 400 IM. You agree with that, Rob?
Yeah, I think it is. It's one where we can see there four guys underneath the nomination time by entry time. I would agree. I think it's 4:20 is probably a little bit generous.
Well, it's all to be done and done in the final. So here we have the start of the event. Now, all the entry times are under 5 minutes, and that's the first barrier for senior. And this is a senior championships, although it's open, very much a senior event. 5 minutes the barrier. Again, we've got 14-year-olds and 15. We've got a 13-year-old, Ryan Ritson, from first in lane 1. And he's had a very busy meet, morning and afternoon, over the 3 days, and made couple of B finals, so really good meet for him. 400 IM, and well, I'll take a little break. Rob can tell you how this event is swum, where the difficulties are, and what to expect.
Yeah, so the 200 fly we've had for girls earlier on this morning, I said then, was met with a bit of trepidation, and 400 IM similarly is a really tough event for young age group swimmers. What you chiefly have to do in the 400 IM is just compose yourself, relax, and meet it with confidence. So it's like the 200 butterfly. You want to go out with nice, long, easy speed in the fly. Obviously it helps if you're a good butterfly swimmer, but that's kind of what you want to do, and actually compose yourself in that backstroke. Much like the 200 IM, keep your tempo up, but you don't want to rev too high. You've got a long way to go still. So these guys up in the top 2 lanes, nice relaxed stroke. The worst thing you can do in the backstroke in the 400 IM is really drop your tempo, drop your body position, because there's no way of coming back from that. And then building up into the 200 turn here, so we're on our 4th 50. The breaststroke's the killer in the 400 IM. They'll come off that wall, their lungs will be bursting, and they'll know they're only halfway. And it's just about staying confident, long and strong in the breaststroke. So let's see how they get on with that.
Thank you. Ritson, nice steady pickup, back of the hand leading. That's a whole interpretation of technique. Some like the pinky to lead on the recovery, some like the back of the hand. And what you do want is a nice quiet entry to the water, and then just pick up the water, get the catch. A lot of recreational swimmers think that 2 things you do in backstroke, and that's to whirl the arms over, and the second thing is that that's going to pull you through the water. In fact, what you're trying to do is get a feel on the water, catch, and lever the body past the hand. The hand becomes then a fulcrum. So it's all about what you can feel in the water and how you catch the load as the body moves past that fixed point. The point will slip because it's water. The top swimmers look as if they're swimming in treacle because they put the hand in and you just think, oh, it's stuck there. So something to look for in the backstroke as we move into this very tough leg, the 3rd quarter of the 400.
Yeah, these guys will be hurting now. David McGregor seems to be pulling away from Mark in lane 2 there. That's what I'm talking about. The breaststroke is the killer here, and it's all about keeping a good strong kick. The legs will be hurting hard after that backstroke leg, but keeping a nice long stretch out front, strong kick in the back.
Yeah, and your point about the tempo, if you have a decent tempo at the front of the backstroke, it brings the legs up and you don't have to work so hard, and that saves the energy then for this breaststroke.
Yeah, so this is the turning point in the IM. They'll know there's only 100 to go. What you want to do is flush out those legs by fluttering them nice and hard and getting that speed up. You want to be confident down this 750.
Well, tired though he will be, it's a very neat placement there from the leader, the busy man. Finlay Douglas from Geary. Geary Summers, of course, technically sound, well prepared. All under Patrick Miley, Hannah's dad and coach to the club.
Well, really strong finish from David. Good strong leg kick all the way in. Looks like he's revving up his arms, going into the wall as well. Bilateral breathing. Get your head down, David. Brilliantly done. Yep. Excellent last 100 from David McGregor there. Sorry, that's Finlay Douglas.
Josh Mitchell.
Josh Mitchell, third time lucky Drew.
4:53.27. You'll be tiring. It's the third quarter, you know. So just to see the confirmation go on the board. Yep. Fastest time, 4:53.27. Josh Mitchell. David McGregor, very tight on the finish, 4:55.87. The only two under 5 minutes. Ritson, 5:00.54. The first swimmer just not making it under the 5 minutes, although all entries were. So, a few disappointments there. .453 on the way then. That's the event starting to build already. Heat 2, Murgatroyd, who would have been in lane 4 from Dumfries, is out, a 4:48 man 2, so that's a big disappointment for Dumfries and for the swimmer. In 5, Oliver Kincart, the Anglo-Scot from Portsmouth North Sea. Again, we'll see the effect of the Grant Robbins coach. So Kincart looking very, very strong. Not surprised that they're producing good medley swimmers down there. Also going well in 9, Alistair Kirkwood, City of Glasgow. And let's see who's working hard and who's able to stroke it through this tough part of the medley. Because it's tough, you have to work quite assiduously, but work too hard, and it's just going to have an effect over the rest of the swim. Through in 63.4.
Yeah, Oliver committing very well there in that first 100, and it looks like he's popped up and actually continued that commitment. Nice rate on the backstroke in that first 25. Well, second place there, Joe Yeoman. Got a slightly sore backstroke, but actually pulling nice under the water. You can see Luke Robbins at the very top of your picture, making a little bit of a run, turning in third there. So it's still Oliver holding off Joe, 2 lanes above him. Just dropping that rate a little bit, Oliver, so you need to pick that up on off this turn here.
Yeah, holding on to the backstroke nicely. The back to breast turn. Couple of main techniques. Side on, turning on to the flat position, or legs over the top. But you have to be in good condition to do the latter.
Now that's good to see. Oliver's pushing his head down, stretching it out. It's an ideal stroke for a 400 IM. Looks like he's got a strong kick at the back there.
Just make the point again that something like a 400 IM in the heats, and with teenagers, you're getting a big spread. It's not the seeding, it's just the difference in ability, and also, you know, often you can find changes in the medley as they go from different strength to strength. You want to have the same quality over the 4 strokes, but it's so difficult to do that. So you get a big spread. The result of that is that you don't get a lot of racing against somebody else. You've got to be in here, so you've got to focus on your own swim, in the lane, in the bubble, training plan, coach's instruction, and be concentrating on everything for yourself. But it's great if you have somebody beside you to, you know, to fight against and to compete, because at the end of the day, that's what this event is about, and that's what this sport is about. It's about competing against other people.
Well, Oliver has again come off that 100 turn onto the last 100. It's really strong leg kick, so he's impressed in the second 200. Joe looked like he was challenging after the backstroke leg, but he's really just put some daylight between the rest of the field here. Through in 3:39, he's entered in at a 4:49, so a sub 110 might see him with a personal best.
There's that pause in the breath though, isn't there? It's really funny. Continuous leg kick, and when he reaches right round to breathe, there's just that little pause.
Yeah, you'd maybe like to see him hold that left arm out and stabilise himself a little bit more. Looks like he's just leaning towards the left-hand side. But really strong finish from Oliver here.
Yeah, Oliver Kincaid, Anglo-Scot from Portsmouth, North Sea. Entered on 4:49, and he goes home with 4:45.65 from the heats. Now, the summer's just coming in. Glad to get home, some of them. It's been a long, hard swim. You can see there, just softly touching the pad as they complete the latter summers. So, Luke Robbins, of course, in that field, also the Anglo-Scot, 14 years of age. Kincaid, 4:45.6. Cameron Muir with a 4:53 flat. Gail Ross, 4:53.53. So the 4:53 of the first heat has gone already, and it's a 4:45 that leads the event now. We hit heat 3. And Ian Rose, the 17-year-old from Warrender. The older Ian Rose in that club. He's out. And we have Mark Dean, City of Glasgow, at 4:43.56. And we go out to 4:47 in the outside lanes from entry. And you can already see that just a little bit more powerful. We're moving to, you know, 16, 19, 17, 18, 21-year-olds in the field. So, again, just that development of strength and power and a couple of more seasons, you know, of background swimming just makes the difference.
Yeah, Cameron taking a good lead here. The youngest in the field, it looks like, at 15. Well, he's a big lad for 15. He's using it well in this butterfly. 102.6, entered at 4:43, so a lot of swimming still to be done. Let's see how his other 3 strokes go. Good tidy backstroke from Cameron there.
Now he's entered on 4:43, he's in lane 5. Mark Dean's well back after the 100 fly, so he's going to have to come through in the next 3 legs. So maybe that's where it is, a slightly weaker fly. Mark Dean's 19 years of age and a 4:43.56. You'd expect them to be together, but they're not together early on because of, again, the different strengths in the medley. At the moment, Cameron Nelson powering out there, but just coming on his shoulder, Callum Deans from Elgin. And moving up in the backstroke, also in 2, James Corrigan, the 3rd Anglo-Scot from Portsmouth, North Sea, 17 years of age. So a big lead on the butterfly, that lead cut down on the backstroke.
Yeah, really tidy. Callum Deans there from Elgin, really tidy backstrokes, got him back into contention. So let's assess. So Callum Dean's a good breaststroke, good strong breaststroke there as well. Cameron is slightly lower in the water. Looks like he's just struggling a little bit more than Callum. I would fancy Callum just to urge are slightly ahead here in this third leg.
James Corrigan just cutting down the lead as well as the breaststrokers start to come through. You can see just Mark Deans in lane 4. Again, just silently moving up, but there's a lot of water. We're talking, you know, 8-9 meters, but he's holding his stroke nicely. Mark Deans in 4. Up at the lead though, it's Cameron and Callum battling it out stroke for stroke. Cameron responded to the challenge of Callum Deans, so he certainly has the strength. He struggled in that first 50 just to get into the stroke, and that is the difficulty coming off fly and back. It's getting into your correct technique early enough and then sitting on it and building it up through the remaining distance in the 100 breaststroke. Here they are at the wall then.
Yeah, Cameron's done well. He's led from the start and held off every challenge that's come to him. It's developing into a pretty good race, this last 100 free. So again, Callum maybe the tidier of the two. He's breathing bilaterally, so you will see Cameron.
Again, moving up on the field, Mark Deans in 4, but he's just left it too late. Over there, James Corrigan just holding third position, but he'll be under threat from Mark Deans. A big drive off the wall from Cameron Nelson, and just giving himself, because he's taller and stronger, giving himself a little bit of a gap, and Callum Deans has now got to make it all up again. Look at the finish in the centre of the pool from Mark Deans, way back after the butterfly. Left it too late. They're in on 4:43s, but they're going to miss that today. Just showing the difficulty of the 400 IM late in the programme in day 4 and the difficulty that the event holds itself. So all Summers home, the information fed to referee to clear just all the technical parts, the turns, the switches, the finish, and it's cleared. 4:46.2 to Cameron Nelson stands as the lead time. 4:48.6, and then McComish at 4:49.1. McComish busy with that medley. So the 4:45 from Oliver Kincart, still leading the way. Heat 4. Lewis Smith and Ross Muir, potential candidates for qualifying in lane 4 and 5. And we've got Matthew Anderson, Warner, then Felix Gifford back in, Ryan Brown and Ross Woolley, then Lewis and Ross, Craig McNally of Warner. In lane 6, Callum Reid is out, Cameron Donaldson is out, and out in his own, Cameron Finlayson, Heart of Midlothian, in lane 9.
Yeah, Lewis Smith, 26 years old. He's been around forever though, been around since he was a very young age group, or always been top of his game, top of Scottish swimming, and obviously had a fantastic 1:58. 200 fly, so obviously already got that nomination time. Next to him, Ross Muir. Had the pleasure of coaching Ross for a few years, back in 2006, 2007. Really hard worker, Ross, so I would expect him to finish strong. He's probably his best strokes being backstroke and breaststroke, so he's going to need to make a move on Lewis in this middle 200.
You can see a good comparison of heavier, stronger Lewis Smith, lower in the water. And it's just a beautiful tempo from Ross Muir. Just with every stroke, he's just taking a little bit of distance out of Lewis. But Lewis's stroke underwater, very good. Both very light in the leg kick. third place over there in lane 2 is Ryan Brown from the best group, and Ross Woolley of Warrender in 4th place.
Well, Ross posted a 2:15 in the 200 breaststroke on Friday night. Obviously that was slightly overshadowed by Jameson and Murdoch, but he's still a really strong 200 breaststroker, so I would expect him to hold it well in this leg. Although Lewis in his time has done decent 200 breaststrokes, this is going to be nice and even all the way up to the freestyle leg, I think.
Excellent bronze medal in Russia in the summer at the World University Games. That is a huge event.
So there's
one of the few opportunities other than the
an example of how to keep the length on the stroke. Really driving. Lewis, as you say, been a great servant and still in condition, and had the pleasure of commentating at the World University Games where he took a bronze. You can see there he's spotting the danger of perhaps letting Ross go too far ahead, and he's picking it up in this last part. Ross, of course, is thinking, I'm in the lead and I want to extend the gap and, you know, get away from Lewis on the freestyle. So just the tactics that are involved and the response to those tactics as he goes through in 3:21.
Yeah, and Ross will know, these two swimmers train together, they know each other inside out. So Ross will know Lewis's strength in the freestyle. Lewis going 3:53 and he's 400 free. Ross, arguably the freestyle being his weakest event, so Ross will know that he needs to hold that lead and he's going to struggle to do so. So going to be a good race down this last 50.
3:21 entered on 4:15 and 4:18. They've got their eyes on that 4:20.1 qualifying time for nomination. Now, sometimes you get silly happenings, you know, when pride comes to stake, you do something silly in the heats. There's Lewis there, desperate to win, desperate to get in the centre of the pool, in amongst it in the A final, and just showing a very wonderful little freestyle at the end of the medley, and just showing how much is left in the tank as he coasts in at the end. 4:24.25. So a nice easy freestyle really at the end of it all. Heat 4 just closing and well back in lane 1. We had Felix Gifford, obviously the early swim having its effect. We said how well he had done. And just checking that everything's cleared. The board changes and Lewis Smith's time confirmed, 4:24.25. Ross just behind on 4:25.4, and Ryan Brown at 4:39.34. Came in with a 4:34. So yeah, a few tired swims in the medley as you would expect at the end of a 4-day meet. We come to heat number 5. Dan Wallace back in the pool in lane 4. Everyone else here. Wallace entered on 4:13.72, but already with a qualifying time in other events, so it can be a free swim. And of course, he'll have developed a real taste for racing.
Yeah, Dan Wallace entered a 4:13, truly world-class time for a 400 IM, so going to see something good tonight, I think. Just one lane up, Duncan Scott, obviously 2:03.1 last night, got second place in the 200 IM. Be interesting to see how he approaches this heat, whether he does a nice easy heat like he did yesterday's 200. But Dan, obviously as expected, controlling this right from the start.
Now there's how to swim it long and strong, just nice rhythm, just feel that you're in the groove, you're in the zone. Concentrating now on the switch, fly to back. Doesn't go too far underwater, doesn't want to put too much pressure on himself at the moment, and just going to coast through this backstroke. But remember, coasting through for him doesn't mean that it's slow. It just means that he's not feeling tight, hard, you know, under any kind of stress. Just wants to enjoy the swim and get himself into lane 4 in the final.
Yeah, and he has that advantage of knowing what Ross and Lewis did in that heat before. So at this level, he'll be able to control his swim to either to suit his needs. So if he wants that lane 4, you know, he's going to go for that low 420s. If he's not fussed, he might just take it even easier.
Duncan Scott in second place, just moving up on the backstroke. The gap staying the same. Again in lane 2, Stuart McIntosh of Coast back in the pool, doing a good job. The arrowhead formation, of course, from the seeding of the heat. Back to breast there, nice, easy. I mean, 10 meters you're getting from the wall through the underwater. Remember, the breaststrokers now allowed one undulating kick within the turn before they have to go back to the breaststroke leg kick, and that gives them an opportunity to get away from the wall, and it's improved the speed of the overall event. Let's see if we can see that with Dan Wallace here.
Yeah, you can see the length that Dan's getting in every stroke there. 2.5 to 3 meters, good turn. Getting way over 10 meters there when he's pull out. Remember, this is a Fornit IM. He's raced for almost 3 minutes. His lungs, despite this being a slightly easier heat swim, his lungs will be bursting, but that's the discipline needed at this level.
Yeah. 200 fly earlier in the day, and 200 free, and now 400 IM. He's just right out of the mould of Lochte, isn't he? He's just doing it all, and doing it all well.
Yeah, and racing hard on every occasion. We've seen Dan get involved with multiple different races, different events, different strokes. Just get the impression he loves it.
320. Now you can think that this is a bit slower than the previous heat, and without any challenge on him, it won't be as fast as it needs to be. You can see the others behind him really kicking hard and building the speed in the first 50, and then trying to maintain it or even slightly increase it on the second 50. Wallace checking the people as he goes up the opposite direction. Duncan Scott in second place. Big kick out the water from Duncan. In third place, it's still Stuart McIntosh. A nice tidy finish in lane 6 from Alistair Miley of Geary, but they are 15 metres behind Dan Wallace as he cruises in 4:22.5. Now remember, 24 in the previous, so that's how to pitch the swim. You want to be in the middle lane, get all the advantage of that, and if you have clear water and racers around you, then that's the environment that you like for top times. Just closing off the event in the morning heats. Lane 9 and Fraser Lowther with a 4:56.61. Maybe a tired swim at the end for a very busy Fraser Lowther. And they clear because it would be a long wait. Next event up is the women's 1500 freestyle. There are 2 heats in the programme, and heat 2 will be swum in the final session this evening. And I hope you can join us for that, either in person and or on the various contact points we've been giving you over the 3 days. And we'll have a look at
the main man, Dan Wallace. Really hope he pushes that 4:13 time tonight. That 4:22 did look comfortable, albeit he did push the 100 freestyle at the end, but I think he's got something in him tonight.
Well, he could have a busy programme. So there's the athletes. Yeah, the tough women out for the 1500. Again, what you've got here is a group of age groupers, the 13, 14, 15 years of age. But all the young athletes encouraged to look at distance swimming not as something to be feared, but something to be experienced. 2 heats of 1500 in the second heat. Camilla Hattersley has come out. Obviously, she's done the necessary. No Commonwealth Games qualifying time. One of the things that over the years has, you know, there's not much upsets me, but it does bug me that you've got a heat of 1500, Rob, and you've got a swimmer out here in lane 9 on her own. You've got a withdrawal in lane 8. Why can they not just move her in to swim with everybody else?
Yeah, it's that kind of pragmatism that's sometimes lacking at this level. You're right, it is a bit of a problem. Poor, who have we got in lane 9?
Can't believe that in the age of technology, 2014, you can't have her swimming in lane 8.
Yeah, Heather's going to have to do it all alone now, and you can see she's obviously already been a little bit detached from the group. Be nice to have her up with lane 7 and in the race.
Well, all those swimmers are in on 18 minutes something. We go from 18:05 from India Dodd in lane 4 for Warner, out to Heather Mulvaney of City of Aberdeen, 18:35. Now this is day 4. These are age groupers. Most of them, from the names, have been swimming morning and afternoon as they qualified at different levels in different events on each of the 4 days. So this is a really, really tough ask. But you don't often get a women's 1500 long course. So the times are definitely there to be challenged. But it depends exactly how tough you can be mentally, how well you are prepared conditionally, and how you're ready this morning. Is this your one swim? Is this one amongst many? And already you can see the kind of performance that's coming out of those swimmers this morning. Heather out in lane 9, sadly well off the pace, and we're only at the 200 freestyle. So we'll keep an eye on her, but in the lead with a very tidy swim, it's Danielle Huskisson. And the reason that she's put in there is that she is English, and you can't have a non-Scot in an A final. So the final has to have Hattersley move into the previous heat.
Yeah, Danielle in with a 16:48, so I would expect her to be well out on her own in this morning heat. Like you say, the cumulative effect for these girls might be might tell in the back half of this 1500, all those days of racing.
Jordan Lamb, Ryan Archibald, Ross McCafferty and Callum Shaw.
So of course you should know by now that this is about holding pace, knowing what pace it does to improve your time. Hopefully having done lots of work on that at the club, and then transfer it here. So going through in 3:20. Remember, you've got Rafferty, Lafferty, Hewitson, McKenzie and Huskisson. Rafferty and Lafferty are out on this from the programme. So Hewitson, McKenzie, Huskisson, Taylor, Miller, Green, a gap from Gilks's withdrawal, and Mulvaney. In lane 5 and in lane 6, we have Katie Taylor and Nikki Miller. Katie's from first, and she's 13 years of age, so I'm a good 400. Nicky Miller, 14-year from South Lanarkshire, just next door, shoulder to shoulder. Now they'll get a bit of company hopefully going through. In second place over there in lane 2 is Emily Hewitson of Dumfries, but you can see the gap already. It's nearly 25 metres as Huskisson goes through the 4 in a 4:27.4.
Yeah, Danielle, 16:48, so you're probably looking at 67s, repetitive 67s to hit that time, so she's maybe slipped off that slightly in this early pace, so let's hope she can pick it up.
So you can see there the relentless metronomic effort required for a good 1500 there. Just one butterfly kick, brings the legs up, keeps the streamlining as the body rises to the surface, and then breaks into the freestyle pattern. Now what we've got here is she breathes every 2, so there's a pause in the leg kick, you know, described as an interrupted kick. Huskisson through 5 in 5:34, so definitely on the 67s, but as we know in the 1500, a half second here or a 0.6 can make a big difference when you add it up.
Yeah, and often it's just about picking up that, I know we speak about tempo all the time, but it is about picking up that tempo, and that has a consistent effect throughout the entire 20 minutes. Or 18, 19, 20 minutes. So Danielle seems to have picked that up in the last 200. I've noticed a little bit more of a flutter at the back of her stroke with her legs. Posting a 67 there, that last 100. So she may well still be on course for a best time here.
So Huskisson then, well in the lead. There, nice balance on the stroke, even although the head only goes to the one side. Commentator's curse, isn't it? You describe her as breathing to one side and she suddenly throws it to the other side. I'll see you later. So going through the 600, 640.74. And a good spot from Rob in that we're now at 67 flat or 66 very high. You can see that Danielle gone in the opposite direction. From the field, and of course there is a big, not big danger, it's just a fact that Mulvaney will be overtaken. Somewhere in lane 8. So she's going for the 15. It's a rather tired and laboursome swim in lane 9. You can see that Huskisson there in the centre. That's the leader, just overtaking Mulvaney. So that's 100 metres of a difference as she goes through the 700. 7:45.
Yeah, Danielle's conditioning probably not in doubt. Swims at the University of Stirling Performance Centre with coach Ben Higson. I know Ben quite well, and he does work these guys pretty hard day in, day out. So Danielle will have it to come back, I would expect. So if she just keeps this pace going, keep the tempo up, I think we're in for a good finish.
Now you can see there the official holding the lap counter, and Summer would take an extra little turn just as they come off the wall to check the number of lengths. So that's the distance halfway point, 7:50. But of course for lapping the 30-50s, you're more interested in the time that comes off this turn, the 800. It's a better comparison. And we're going for 8:53. So just starting to get a little bit stronger. And just up on the water, a bit lighter. The early 400 just settling into the stroke. The next 400, a little bit of work. Feels good, gets the signal from her body, and then strength of mind to just start to pick it up. It's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit quicker.
Yeah, Danielle, this is probably the darkest time for her in the race, the 800 through to 1200. 1200 onwards, traditionally, you've got sight of the finish. You can start picking it up. Psychologically, you're in a happier place. We just have to keep that going from 8 through to 12 now.
Well, somewhere around 11 to 13, the swimmers talk about, you know, the wall, the same as the marathon runners. And that's where you've got to pay particular attention. But obviously, there was a sticky patch there. And she's worked her way through that. The stroke got a little bit ragged. Maybe swimming a bit too slow. Too controlled. She's got that now in her head. That she's feeling good. And she's now on a much better rhythm. 66 is now on the laps. The rest of the race, of course, spread. And it looks as though Huskisson might overtake another 2 or 3 swimmers in the field.
So we've got a few tweets, obviously, throughout. We're looking for your tweets at SGNC214. So throughout the morning we've received a few. So the first one I want to call out at Andy Mayer. So that's Andrew Mayer, former Commonwealth Games swimmer himself. Good luck to all the guys and girls racing today at SGNC214. At Scott Swim Live and to all. So thanks for that, Andy. We've got a few call-outs from Carnegie SC. 100 fly at Craig Bowman and Mark Schranek through to the A final tonight. Hashtag Black and White Army. So Carnegie up for it. Also calling out Tane Bruce's swim in the 200 fly today. So solid 200 fly this morning at Tane O'Bruce into the A final tonight. So Tane was looking really good this morning in our heat swim. Good luck to Tane. And then the last one here, Mike Thompson. At Mike Thompson 333. Had a great time swimming at the championships. Was a fantastic meet and great to be back for home for a few days. So I'm sure everyone agrees with you there, Mike. Well done for this weekend.
So thank you for those tweets. Keep them coming. Hashtag SGNC 2014. Now, just giving you some up-to-date strap lines. 14 athletes getting nomination. Now remember that the times have been set. If you make the time in the A final, you're in the top 3 swimmers. That allows the Scottish Swimming to put you forward for nomination for the team, and the Commonwealth Games Authority then agree that you've met all their criteria. They check that out, and then the first phase is announced, I think, around May, and this is phase 1 for selection. So you've got 2 competitions, this championship and next week's British Championships, held here again in Tollcross over the 4 days, and that's your second opportunity. And there are a lot of gaps, so there's a fill-in chance to make the team. Obviously with 3 places, if a couple make it here this weekend, there's a spot left and you can go and do the time and fill that 3rd spot from another swim. And then there's a phase 2, which is a little bit more complicated, about designated meets that you have to go to, or you and your coach have to make a case that you would go to a particular swim in Europe or America to have a go at the time. And Scottish Swimming have got to give you permission to do that and agree that it will be, if you make the time, that it will be acceptable. So you just saw the list of swimmers going through there. Congratulations to them as Danielle Huskisson gets into the end stage of a very good 1500 swim.
Yeah, Danielle 16:48 entry time. We'll remind you, her 100-metre times have dropped down to 66s or held at 66s, so I would fancy she's on for under 16:40 here, which would be a terrific effort from Danielle. So turning in 14:22. So to get under that 16:40, she's looking for a 2:17 or faster in the last 200, which I would expect to be well within her grasp.
Yes, 2:17 for her class. Now she's swimming, for me, the stroke's not so long. She shortened it, but it looks much more like a distance swimmer. The arm slightly more angled at the elbow, hand underneath the body. Nice rhythm on it. It's really a good swim. I don't think you maybe understand, although it's not, you know, at the top level of women's distance swimming, but for her entry time at the end of hard 4 days, it's a good swim. So well done to her. Just heading towards the bell. And a lot of swimming still to come in this 1500 this morning, as remember, she's overtaken all that field. So although they're hearing the bell, they know they've got a whole lot of swimming to go, especially our friend Heather Mulvaney down in lane 9. This is the last swim of the morning session, and from here we'll look forward to the same events in the afternoon with the slightly slower heats, and then again a repeat of the events plus a few additions in the final session this evening. And we're all looking forward to that, because there's been a build-up of tension and excitement and good competitive racing to bring to you this evening. But here she is then, Huskisson.
Yeah, Danielle turning 16 minutes flat there with a 50 to go, so we're looking at sub 16:35 here, which would be a huge PB for Danielle. Get your head down, Danielle, into the wall. She is as well. Well, 16:31, 17-second PB based on her entry time. What a swim.
Just remind you that Huskisson was moved from the final heat. A little administrative error, and in the finals and in the A final of an event, it's reserved for Scottish swimmers. Huskisson is at the University of Stirling for training and study, but she is English, so she cannot go in that A final. So they had to move her into this first heat. The second heat will be the A final this evening and swum in the evening session. Well, second place in the heat. Remember, it's a heat declared winner, so these times go forward, and then they're compared against tonight's times.
Yeah, so Emily Hewitson from Dumfries taking this second spot at the moment, holding off lane 6, Nikki Miller from South Lanarkshire. It's been a good race behind Danielle here.
Well, family and friends cheering them on in second place. Coach Andy Figgins across there, getting South Lanarkshire's Nikki Miller an encouraging wave.
So this is very
Remember that there's a junior title at stake.
Hold on in the last few meters. I think she will, but wow, she had to work for it. And in the end, only
1809s, 1810s. They came here with 1813, 1811, so right on the button, really. A couple of nice little personal bests, possibly. And 2 more summers will finish, and then Heather Mulvaney will have a final 100. She'll be really glad to hear that. Coming in with an entry of 1835, we've just seen her turn with 100 to go, 1833, so let's hope she can cope with the result of this. She maybe knows that she's not going to be anywhere near her entry time.
Yeah, like we said at the start, it was wasn't set up for her the best with that outside lane, a lane space, so she perhaps struggled to get into the race right from the start.
Yeah, but I think the way she's swimming wasn't going to make any difference. But I just make the point that, you know, where there's withdrawals in something like this, I just like to see them being moved in. So Danielle Huskisson, 16:31, led that, overtook all the field. Good swim for her. She'll be really delighted with that swim. As Heather, you can see there the green cap just going past the 25-meter red marker. Everybody wishing her home. Balcony cleared. Everybody away for a lunch. So, nice swim from Heather. Hope there's a little applause for that. It's been a brave effort on her own, out in lane 9, and not in the form that she would like to be. There's confirmation, 16:31, second place, 18:09, third in a close finish, 18:10:03. The 1500 freestyle, heat number 1.
Very impressive swim there from Danielle Huskisson to win that one in 16:31.
So the session comes to an end. Anything to look forward to? Yes, of course. Which your eye on?
Yeah, that 400 IM tonight I think is going to be a cracker. We've got Wallace on form, but we've also got Lewis Smith and Ross Muir in the run-in. So I think we could get 3 nomination times in one event in that 400 IM tonight. So that's the highlight for me tonight. I'm really looking forward to that race.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The 400 IM and it's such a wonderful event with everything on display and no hiding place. So it's good that that's the case. So that's the end of the session, and we look forward to having your company. That's coming up, the same events. And in addition, we have the men's and women's 4x100 medley relay. Always a great event, again with the 4 strokes on view, a mixture of results, sometimes lots of changes in this race because of the different strengths. So you'll see a repeat of all the events that we've seen, plus the medley relays, which will come this afternoon. We'll be back at 1300 BST, the session at 1:15. My thanks to Rob for his work this morning, and to Glasgow Life and our sponsor Scottish Gas and the production team. And while we be back, we want to thank you very much for your super support of going onto YouTube, supporting Scottish Swimming, and for the tweets that have come in at hashtag SGNC 2014. For now, from me, Drew Gordon, and all of us here at Tollcross International Swimming Centre in Glasgow, it's good afternoon, but we'll see you soon.
Was great, but I'm getting ready to make 2014 even better.
It'll be a great night just to catch up, relax, and as a swimmer actually get to dress up and look normal.
And then a chance to see lots of people from all around different parts of swimming and have a good evening with them.
The awards ceremony was fantastic, with most people turned out ever, so years to come it's just going to get bigger and bigger.